You're listening to Terri Talks, where we discuss all things taboo, uncovering art industry nonsense, grounding you in confidence and leadership to run an arts business with unwavering power and grit. We're here with Devon Gordon from Zepster Gallery here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And she's here to talk about her experience both as a curator and gallerist. As many of you know, some of the last couple of episodes have been really trying to demystify and break down the gallery, the system, the gallery system, the art industry system, I like to call it at this point, because I really want to tear this apart and see how artists can get a little bit closer to really identifying what that partnership looks like. Devon also runs Zepster with her partner, Reed. I'm going to say this super slow. Chudnacki. Oh God. If you're listening, Reed, my bad, but I did try. And it's had some really amazing momentum at this new gallery. It's been like a little bit less than a year working with artists. Obviously, their experience working with artists has been, a long journey. So it's not like they just woke up one day and decided I want to, start renting out this space a little bit more permanently. And so Devon will share a lot more about that. But I think that one of the things that I've come up against with artists that I've worked with and clients, right? Like I don't have all the information. I don't have all the answers. When I have a client that's like, I want a solo show, or I want to show internationally, or I want to connect with this gallery. And then that thought doesn't turn into like a concrete vision, doesn't turn into an action step. There's no way for me to advise a client on how to go get it, right? It's not like this thing you can buy. So Devon, I want to start by just asking you a little bit about what your experience has been, obviously, with Zepster Gallery and how you got to this point, because you know a shit ton of artists. And I'm really impressed, even, I hate to say this, but at your age, you're really young. And, we're not looking at people in their 50s and 60s anymore running galleries. We're looking at these small emerging galleries that have great momentum, because that's what I'm noticing a lot more today.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big advantage that I have is that I went to Pratt for my undergrad. So my proximity to amazing artists is already a little bit above average.
You're in the
And then
pool.
Totally. And then also being in New York as well, which is such a hub for artists, is definitely another advantage. So being in close proximity, and then also not being afraid to reach out on my own, schedule studio visits, also see who artists know. That's a great way to expand your reach of artists, as artists hang out together. So meet a couple of artists, say, hey, who are you interested right now? Who are you friends with? And then you can check out their work. So really just not being afraid to meet new people. I think that's super great. And I think that's something that artists can do as well. Just meet new people as well. Go to openings, make yourself known, go to artist meetups, go to panels, go to talks. I've been to a couple panels, I've met people through there, and just not being afraid to introduce yourself to people and then say your name and let things evolve a little naturally there.
I think also, at the beginning of my coaching career, one of the activities that I would do is have my clients practice how to introduce themselves. It was this daunting thing. I'm Terri Froman and I am an artist. And then of course they're like, what kind of artist?
Yeah.
And then, it kind of goes, sometimes it goes downhill from there. Sometimes it goes uphill. And it's this rant of well, I work with, canvas, and they start to list all of the materials they work with to paint this vision of what they do, when in reality, we have to kind of start to streamline even just that and just make that really simple, because you want certain things to stand out when you are meeting these people, and it's got to be cut and dry. I like that you said panels and talks, because those are the places people are drinking the least. And those are the places where people are going to actually do the talking, because, there's only so many open, art openings you can go to. They're, A lot of like, especially if it's like an emerging artist type scene, some people are going to party and some people are going to buy. And so like, you don't quite know, like, who's going to pop up or whose family member or, you know, anybody could show up to an emerging art show.
Hmm.
Uh, so I would love to hear. Well, first of all, Zepster has not been doing open calls.
No, no, we have
Tell me
not.
about like your decision to kind of, I mean, yes, you have like, artists at your fingertips at this point. And I would assume, people are like, want the opportunity to work with you guys. You guys are young. It almost feels like if I was an artist, I would be like, oh, we're match made in heaven automatically. But that's not true because you and Reed have some sort of an eye and an aesthetic that you like.
Yeah, definitely. I would also say for artists just to practice like a 60-second elevator pitch of yourself. Write it down, rehearse it, try to make it sound as natural as possible, just so when someone asks you in your head, you've already said it to yourself a bunch of times of who you are, what your work is about.
Everywhere at the
Yeah,
bar.
so it's like it's so natural for you and to be able to pitch yourself. I think pitching yourself is super important. Yeah, so Reed and I know a lot of artists. Reed is also an amazing collector. So he has personal relationships with artists that whose work he owns. And so it's also being able to tap into those artists as well. Artists that I've known before Zepster, I did a bunch of pop ups. So artists that I've worked with in those pop ups, doing a lot of studio visits, seeing whose art I click with, who I also click with as a person, artist wise, just having those connections. Sorry.
If you're watching this YouTube, we've got a little visitor,
Yeah, that's my cat, Zeppelin. I did name the gallery after him.
lioness cat.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fluffer. So I think Reed and I
Do
work.
studio visits. Do you think that
Yeah.
that's like a common, I'm not going to say it's not common, but do you feel like in your position that it's more common than people think or is less common in today's society to do studio visits?
I'm not really sure. I have
Yeah,
friends that are artists that have studio visits
they do
with,
get.
yeah, with collectors, with other gallerists. I am personally a really big fan of studio visits, even if it's virtual. I've done a couple of those.
Okay.
Just to try to get a sense of the work before you actually show it. Just because if you're seeing pictures online, Instagram flattens things. That's just the nature of seeing things through your phone. And then also just getting a sense of the scale, just to be able to
Yes.
see it and have, even if it's virtual, have them move around. And then also being able to just have communication with the artist and being able to have a conversation that's not just texting, I think is super important for me and Reed, just to have that line and being able to know who the artist is in addition to their work. So yeah, since being in New York, I think that's definitely an advantage of being able to do studio visits in person.
I
And
love that investment's there because I think I was just live on Instagram and I said something about how, I'm seeing more and more of these young galleries really stepping up with the type of artwork they're showing. Same thing with Marley Katz. I
yeah,
mean, she's an incredible curator. I love her taste. I love her level of professionalism. She's kept a Rolodex of amazing artists under her belt. And it seems like, obviously that's kind of how we connected because I saw that you guys were, collaborating on that show. And I think that it's an interesting step towards kind of dismantling like the hierarchy in the gallery world a little bit. It's like actually you could rent out a space, show some impeccably talented artists and still make a lot of fucking money and, run it as professionally as a David Warner gallery. I mean, and build it up with that reputation. But I also think that at a certain point in your career, open calls are getting old and they are starting to, yes, oh, they do open doors for some people, but I'm seeing the same ones over and over and over again.
yeah. I think Reed and I really want to have control
Yeah.
over the program of artists that we are showing, because if they're showing under the Zepster Gallery name, we really want to be like, these are artists that we stand behind. I think you just have a little less control when you do an open call. It's not saying that the work is going to be a lesser quality, but it's just saying you have to curate based off of the artists that submit. So Reed
Well, do
and
you
I,
want to look through applications, or do you want to, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah,
or spend your time going to the studio? Like there's only two things you really have time to do.
yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah,
that privilege of like going to, maybe one or two really incredible artists and getting that like juicy stuff,
mhm,
or reading 20 applications with JPEGs. There's just two sort of two different ways of operating.
yeah, and we do get, Instagram
Yeah.
DMs, which isn't necessarily an open call, but it's still
No.
people trying to
Yes.
slide in
Right,
there.
exactly.
We get a bunch of emails as well, which is open call adjacent, but yeah,
And what do you think about those? Like, are they professional emails? Are they shit emails? Like, what's, I'm curious to what you get in your
it's
inbox.
It's a range. Sometimes we get people that just send their images, nothing else.
They're like,
So,
hey, see attached.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's you can very tell it was a cut and paste email sent to a bunch of different galleries, which is
Interesting.
like, put our name in there. If you're sending it, don't be like, to whom it concerns. When my email is Devon at Zepster Gallery, just put Devon in the header. Just take the time to make it a little personalized. I think that's the
What
stuff.
kind of DMs do you get?
Um,
Are those like, I feel like people could do better with DMs sometimes. They'd be like, hey, what's up? It's like that casual.
totally. I slide into artist DMs all the
Yeah.
time too. So it's a two-way street, which is why I always look at people that DM us. Also, since we are just starting out, you never know who's gonna slide into your DMs. I mean,
Yeah.
collectors have definitely DM'd us. We've sold works through Instagram, so I'm always looking at whomever sends us a message request that never goes unread by me.
Yeah.
So I think just not being like, "Oh, I don't know this person, I'm not gonna read it," I don't think is a good way for us to go about things. But yeah, I slide into artist DMs. I think keeping up with their work, sometimes I'll wait a little bit. I'll say, "Oh, I really like this piece by you. Oh, I really like this piece," and then say, "Yeah, we have a show coming up. Would love to do a studio visit." Just having that communication line. And that's why I also like studio visits too, because we want to work with the same artists, and we want to like build this program and sell to the same collectors and just build up our reputation and really stand behind certain artists and work with them continuously, which is why I also think if you're able to meet in person and get to know them on an interpersonal level, that definitely helps out with that.
Yeah. No, I like that you and Reed are really honing in on that
Yeah,
partnership aspect,
yeah,
because I think the red flag partner, and I say this in quotes, partnerships,
yeah,
where a gallery picks up an artist and then kind of just holds on to their work and it doesn't get sold and there's no marketing and it just kind of like sits.
yeah,
I think that people mistake those for partnerships, and then down the line they realize, oh shit, my work has been there for 3 months, I'm not selling, they're not even posting me on Instagram, they're starting to get ready for another show, whatever it is, like all the bullshit that kind of like, it's like, no, actually it shouldn't be a one and done, and it can be, right? But like, if the relationship is strong between the gallery and or the curator and the artist, it should be like a space where you could hit each other up for future opportunities
totally,
if
totally.
it's, fostered the right way.
Yeah, so we did a Works on Paper show in September that was about 35 different artists. So
Wow.
for a lot of those artists, it would be a one and done situation. And we have consignments that last from like six
That's a
months.
big show.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So we have like assignments for 6 months because also we're new, so we want to have inventory. So that's why we do hold on to works too, even after the show is done, just in case someone has an interest in a particular type of art. We have something to show them.
Right, right, right.
Gallerists will have a lot of back inventory too. That's not necessarily on the show, but they still send out to clients. So that's why we like to have things at least for 6 months just to hold on to it, and it helps with us just sending out to collectors and broadening the scope.
Let me ask. So that last show that I went to, that with Jonathan Downing, Aurora. Now the pieces that, well, how long was that up for? Was that a month, 2 months?
It was like 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, I know you guys had a pretty good, like, you sold a couple, and it seemed to be like a really, I mean, that was a great show. But I'm wondering, like, then what the aftermath of that was.
Yeah.
So artists come and pick up the work, or did you hold on to those for a little bit to see if something picked back up?
Yeah, so we're in talks with people as well that have interest in some pieces past the show. I mean, you're also kind of at the mercy of collectors making their decisions within the show timeline, which some collectors will just say, we'll send them a PDF, they'll go, is this still available? Sold. It's the dream. Not every collector is like that. Some people you'll be in contact with for weeks
They're
going
still,
back and forth.
thinking
Yes,
about it.
we have a couple of those going on.
Because
And
they
then
can still see technically, like, the work on your Instagram. It's not like that's taken down. So, like, there is a reminder, like, that this work is still available. So if you get a DM like, hey, is this still for sale? I mean, that can still happen. Whereas, sometimes once a show's over, it's.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
But I
And
don't
then
think a lot of artists know that. Like, what actually is not what should happen after a show ends, but I guess the different ways that it could go.
yeah, it all really depends. So like some if we are going back and forth on a client on a piece, we'll hold on to it. Other times we have people pick up work kind of right after the show. So it really depends. Yeah, we're in
The
contact.
inquiries.
Yeah, we're in contact with another gallery trying to close a deal for a future show for one of the art. So we're in the process of sorting that out.
How does that work? So then you guys are you their guest curators, or like, how does that happen?
So we would just get a percentage of something sells. We wouldn't really have our name attached. It would just be a deal that's on the back end for placing the
Because
artwork.
right, because you recommended that artist,
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially.
So definitely you need to be solid in your relationships with people because they definitely can lead to future deals.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to also be friends with other gallerists and have a tab on what they're doing, show them that what we're doing. Because if you
Also,
represent an artist,
make more money.
sorry.
It's an interesting way to make more money,
Well, that's like if galleries represent an artist,
right?
sign from them and they get anywhere from like 10 to 20%
Oh, interesting.
if something sells. So when we did our Works on Paper show, we had consigned some works from Hesse Flateau from the whole. So if something sold, then we would have to pay them a certain
Right.
percentage as well. So that's definitely another revenue that you can
Yeah, because
take.
I like that kind of, it's almost like you're borrowing really amazing people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And
And the
yeah.
artist is like, fuck yeah, like, it's all good. I mean, let's share.
That's definitely a way that gallerists can help artists, and then also providing them with exposure
Yeah.
to more collectors and collectors from a different gallerists. So just really broadening their horizon.
I mean, I guess I never thought about that, because I always just assume it's sort of a dog eats dog world when it comes to gallerists, and they want to keep their artists as close to them as possible.
Yeah.
And I like that sort of connecting the dots of, like, okay, let's share the talent, share the money, and just all be in place to share our collectors and let people find amazing shit.
Totally. And we did a show and we Josh Smith, who's represented by David Warner, so we consigned from them. And then we had Austin Lee, who's represented by Jeffrey Deitch, so we consigned from them
Interesting.
as
Okay.
well. I mean, we're definitely not on the same level as David Warner and Jeffrey Deitch, but the inner sharing of artists definitely happens.
And how did those partnerships come about? So, I mean, that's a obviously a blue chip gallery. I mean, is that through, I mean, they have obviously offices everywhere, but like, who would be a contact for, like, I wouldn't even know who to like email for that.
So how that came about is we did a show with Artist Chairs with Joe Horner, and he has contacts with the artists directly. So they
Okay.
really wanted to be in the show. So then the galleries got brought in for communication, for the logistics, and for the
Right. They're like,
experience. And
who's
then
coming
that,
on my,
yeah,
who's coming on
but
my toes?
the artists really wanted to be in it. So that's why we were able to get them. It was kind of the artist to gallery, not the gallery to artist.
Yeah.
So that depends. That was the special circumstance.
I mean, and we love an artist who advocates for themselves and who knows where they want to be and who they want to talk to and things like that. But I also think, you know, when you go to open calls, I mean, when you go to openings, I'm almost 99% of the time when I walk in through those doors, I'm doing two things. I'm grabbing a price sheet and I am hunting down the artist, whether I, you know, spoke to them on IG at one point or we've been following each other for a while. Usually that's the case. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to see you tonight. You know, like that's my first point of contact.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm just going to show some love and make sure that they see my face and, you know, just that networking aspect is just one little thing, right? But I think a lot of people just go and they just kind of like circulate the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I
no like movement.
totally. And I think with our openings in particular, we're definitely a younger crowd. So people like the I don't know what's the correct word, but it's okay to approach someone randomly and strike up a conversation. It doesn't feel as
Yeah.
stuffy, I guess, as some people would assume at different art openings. People are definitely approachable and down to talk, and I introduce people to the artists as well, so a lot of people will come to me to be the intermediary person and introduce them to the
That you
artist.
guys are there. I like, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, I kept thinking the whole time at the opening that you guys were someone with a
right.
basically painted black blazer who was like an older man. And my friend and clients were like, you know what? That's gotta be it. That's gotta
No.
be the owner. And they're like looking like they just like knew, like they were just like monitoring the situation.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not us. I've worn a blazer, but I don't think I would wear like a
Yeah,
pink
yeah, yeah.
blazer. That's definitely
It was very
not our style. But we got to do like a Instagram post with our
hell yeah.
just so people
Absolutely.
know. So we're
Absolutely.
out front and center.
Yeah, I'm sure people want to know who's behind this like awesome movement at this point.
Thank you.
And I really hope that, you know, you guys do become a household name, even if it's not at Zepster, maybe it's,
Yeah,
you know, just how you're managing and bringing artists together and bringing artists and curators together. And I think that so let's just kind of finish this by, if I could ask you for one piece of advice for a newbie. They have just completed an amazing body of work. They're trying to get a studio visit. They're trying to get someone in there. Do you suggest, yeah, like what would you say if they're trying to get that first studio visit potentially?
totally. So I think you need to research galleries who would show you, whose work you would fit well with.
Okay.
Don't
Look
just
at past work from
yeah.
the gallery, basically.
Yeah. So research galleries, see where you would fit well. Don't go to galleries that would never show you because it's a waste of your time if you don't fit or if it's a completely different style. And also price point wise, if you're really here and then they're showing here or it's vice versa, it has to make sense for the gallery financially to show you. So I think doing due diligence and then Yeah, going to openings, showing your face, definitely tag them if you go on social
Yes.
media, post on your story that you were there, so there's a little digital footprint. And then maybe go, we're a small gallery, so if you come to Zepster, I'm the one that's
Yeah.
sitting at the desk. See, if it's a smaller gallery, chances are the owner is there.
Yeah.
So maybe go again when it's not the opening, and
Right. That's kind of what I do and have done in the past is I've definitely been like, "Hey, I'm going to stop by. Will you be there?" Or something
yeah,
like that. I've definitely also
yeah. Because I think I would not be super into the convo just because my mind is not
right. You're
there. If
hooked.
someone approaches me at the opening being like, "I'm an
It's
artist,"
business.
which happens all the time.
I'm
People
sure.
meet me and they just automatically pitch themselves, but I'm not in the headspace at that given time. I'm focused on the show that's up. I have, a million things, gotta circulate the room, talk to everyone, see the collectors.
Yes.
I'll usually just tell people, I'll be like, shoot me an email or DM me. But if you go when we're just open, I've had amazing conversations with artists that have just come when it's open, and it's a lot quieter, and I can actually have a more
Yeah.
in-depth conversation, and that works out better for the artist too, because then you're in a better position to
Like focus
pitch
on me.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think like knowing when the right time for the other person to be the most receptive to what you're trying to say is good, because in the end it like helps you at the most, because then they're not like giving you a knee jerk reaction based off of what's going on with them. But when it's like a lot chiller, a lot quieter, then
Yeah.
that's better. So yeah, have conversations, and then
No, that
if
was
you
really helpful.
yeah,
That's very tangible advice because I think nobody, most artists don't think to go during that very downtime when it's like a Thursday through Sunday open
yeah,
and maybe it's appointment only and you could DM and see who's there or you can easily email and ask like, hey, I'd love to meet with someone. I mean, that's not a cold email and that's not like proposing something. You're just
yeah,
trying to like see who's there, and like make yourself known as you said.
yeah, yeah, and then you can hit them up later too, and it's a little bit more organic.
Right.
So that's good. Yeah, I mean, there was a artist that I've already been following, and I really liked her work, and she came into the gallery, and we had a nice conversation, and then she hit me up with a proposal,
There.
which is different than an open call and like a
That's
cold
yeah,
meet.
but
Yeah.
that to me seems like you said the more organic, natural kind of progression of things.
Yeah, and I was already aware of who she was too, and I already liked her work, so I was definitely more open to it than just another artist that I had never heard of
Right.
before.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, I was already kind of thinking about a show," or like, "Oh, it would be cool." And as she was leaving, I was like, "I'm definitely going to keep an eye on your work and
Yeah.
everything." Um, and yeah, she sent me a show proposal. So Reed and I are considering it, and so
Like
maybe
it.
we'll show it. But yeah, our time slots are definitely filling up too,
Yeah,
which is another
that's my
thing.
last question. Like what
Yeah.
how far out are you booked at this point?
Yeah, so we're kind of February 2026.
Stop.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But things fall through in the art world
I know, but that's
so often. It's like all so tentative, and it's like Jenga, because like one
yeah,
show falls through and then it's like all the other ones kind of like cave in on
totally, totally.
themselves. But yeah, we have some solos planned, which we're very
Oh, nice.
We have like 3 on the
Okay,
book.
cool.
We got into Future Fair, which is very exciting that we're gonna be in an art fair, not even like a year old. So
Yeah.
it'll like be on our 1-year anniversary when we're at Future Fair, which is super exciting. And the person that we are doing a solo booth with, we showed in our second show,
Oh,
and we've got
cool.
like great communication with her. Definitely like stay in
That
touch.
sees like it's a
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you're not showing, art fairs are a total other avenue that you get recognition from, another way to have great line directly to collectors. So
Yeah.
that's definitely another avenue to take. Yeah. And we
You
have,
guys would have to have a big party, like a 1 year
I
party.
know, I know.
Just fuck it up. Let's just fuck shit up and just see.
Totally. Well, my friend Sarah.
Actually, what is it? We'll do like 360 pieces of artwork or something.
Yeah. Well, my friend Sarah runs this thing called Another Fucking Party, and so we're gonna work with her and call it like Another Fucking Gallery Party.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. So
Um,
stay tuned, everybody, for all this
yeah,
shit. So much down the pipeline. I would love to work with you guys. I mean, there's just like, there's so many good artists out there that it's
yeah,
what we want. Everyone has got it. We want everyone to have a space. Like, and it is possible, and it is feasible. And we want collectors also to be able to, get a piece of something at their price range. And we just want to make all of this accessible to everybody at the end of the day. So thank you so much.
thank you for
And
having me.
Reed, if you're listening, we love you too. Sending some love.
Go
Um,
read.
and I can't wait to see what else Zepster has in store for us.
Yeah, we're very excited about it, and thank you for having me on the podcast today.
Awesome. And for everyone who's listening, thank you so much. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you give me 5 stars, all the good stuff, share us, and stay tuned for the next episode.
All right.
Thanks for listening to another unfiltered episode of Terri Talks. I've also got some free resources on my website that'll help make your life a lot easier as an artist in business. You can also check out my services or apply to work together. Before you go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button